Hey, what's up guys? This is Paul from the sysadmin channel, and in this video I'm going to show you step by step how to install Office 2019 using SCCM and Powershell App Deployment Toolkit. And we're starting right now. So to get started, we're going to hop on Google and type in deploy Office 2019 SCCM sysadmin channel. This will take us to the sysadmin channel page to deploy Office 2019. And the reason we're going there is because we're going to need to download the setup for the volume license. I ran into problems where if you download the setup from the Microsoft official page, it doesn't work. It gives you errors about the channel product or something like that. So I've uploaded the setup volume license.7z. You will need to download and install 7-zip in order to run it. I already have that installed, obviously, but in the meantime, we'll go ahead and scroll down a little bit so we can copy the sample XML file. This XML file will basically let Office 2019 know where the source path is, what to do. It's basically a blueprint of the setup. So I'll go ahead and copy that. We'll minimize the Chrome browser, and in my share, I'm going to create a new text document, and we're going to name it config-64.xml. Okay, we'll go ahead and open that XML with Notepad++. If you're using Notepad regular, that's fine too. I'll go ahead and paste in the contents that we just copied. And just to go over it really quick, the source path is going to be the path that I'm on right now, the FS01 apps, Office 2019. This is going to be a 64-bit installation. We also went ahead and set the product ID to Pro Plus 2019 volume. This is the volume license version. And for the PID, I went ahead and X'd it out, but you can enter in your product key right there if you have it. For the language, I'm going to select English US, and I'm going to also install the proofing tools. Moving down a little further, I set the remove MSI to true, so this will remove all previous versions of Office 2016, 2013, and 2010. If you have the click to run versions, this will not remove it, so you need to possibly remove that manually. The display level is none, so it'll be a quiet install. We will accept the license agreement and auto-activate the license once it finishes installed. This all looks good here, so the next thing we're going to do is save it. And we're actually not going to need this file anymore, so we'll go ahead and close it and move on to the extraction of the setup license file. Before we actually extract it, we're going to go ahead and open up PowerShell, and we'll confirm the SHA-256 hash. So to do that, we'll do get file hash, and we'll point to the path of the setup volume license file. I'm going to copy just the end portion of this, and then we'll open up the Chrome browser where we were at before, do a Control F and Control V, and you can see there that the hash does match. So the file you are getting should match the file that I've uploaded. All right, so once we got that, we'll right click, open up with 7-zip, and we'll copy the contents of the setup license. So once we got that copied into our deploy folder, we're not going to need the 7-zip file anymore, so we can delete that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the command prompt and download the source files from the internet. So to do that, we'll navigate to our deploy directory again. And in my case, that's Z Office deploy. We'll run the command setup_volume license.exe /download, and then we'll use the config file that we have previously set up. So at this point, you might want to grab a cup of coffee because it is going to take anywhere from 40 minutes to about an hour. And that is mainly because Microsoft throttles the download limit, the download speed. So I'll come back once the download has completed. All right, so it looks like my download has completed. And if we go back into our Windows Explorer, we can see that the source folder is there and it's populated. I think the total size of the folder is around 3 point something gigs. So make sure you have the space for that. Once we've downloaded that, we'll go back into our command prompt. And if you wanted to run this on a single computer, we'll go ahead and use the forward configure command pointing to the XML file. But in our case, since we're going to be deploying it with SCCM, that is not the case. So we'll go ahead and close out the command prompt. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go into the PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit. We're going to open up the script using PowerShell ISE. And we'll go over this really quick. So if we scroll down a little bit, we can see the information. I've already declared the variables for the script. And if we scroll down a little further to where it says the pre-installation, this is the part where you want to edit if you have any custom scripts going on. So in our case, we'll run the show installation welcome, and we'll prompt the user to close all of the Office apps that they currently have open. We'll allow them to defer it up to 5 times. And if you want the script to automatically close the apps without them saving it after a certain amount of seconds, in this case it was set to 600, you can set that in. In my case, I am not going to set that, so it won't automatically close them out. So I'll go ahead and highlight that portion and delete it. Moving on, we'll scroll down a little bit further. And here I've created 2 variables for directories. One is the CCM cache folder that SCCM uses to deploy software. And that variable has a getChildItem filter command, and it's searching for an Office 2019 install.txt. So if we go back into Windows Explorer, the 2019 install.txt is just a placeholder. It's empty. It's only used for getChildItem to find out what the directory is. And to get the directory name, I went ahead and added a select expand directory name. And that should be all that we need for that. Next up, I went ahead and set the path for the file server directory, our source path. After that, I added a block to specify if it's the local if the files are found in the local directory, then it will use the CCM cache folder. If it's not, then it will use the network directory. And I went ahead and output that to an installed dir variable. Moving down, we are going to start the process to the setup. And actually, since we used the setup_volume license.exe, I'm going to go ahead and copy that exact file name and put that in the script. So copy that. We'll minimize this folder, and we'll go ahead and paste that into the script. That way we're running the file name that we're supposed to. All right, for the argument list, it's going to be a /configure install dir, and we're going to point to the XML file. Okay, and if you wanted to do any cleanup, we can do that there. In this script, I really didn't care, so I commented that out. And the last thing is going to restart after 10 minutes, 600 seconds. So we'll go ahead and save this file. And we'll close it since we're not going to be needing that anymore. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is open up SCCM, our SCCM console. So we'll go ahead and launch that. It should take me to the console. My computer's acting a little slow right now, so we'll wait a little bit more. All right, once we're in the console, we'll go ahead and open up device collections, and we're going to create a new software deployments folder. So I'll create that folder. I'll call it software deployments. And me personally, I like to have all of my software deployments in a folder. That way it's easier to manage for me. All right, so once we're in the software deployments folder, we'll go ahead and create a device collection group for our upgrade. And I'll go ahead and call this group Microsoft Office 2019 upgrade. I'm going to limit the collection to all workstations because servers, at least I've never seen servers having Office installed. And right now we're not going to add any computers, so it's going to be a blank device collection. All right, we'll go ahead and close that once it completes successfully. That looks good. All right, the next thing we're going to do once we have that is go into software library, and we're going to want to create the application itself. So to do that, we'll click on software library, application management, application, and then we'll right click and create a new application. All right, so we have that. We're going to select manually specify the application, click next on there. For the name, we're going to want to give it something relevant, so we'll call it Microsoft Office 2019 Upgrade. For the comments, we'll put upgrade to Office 2019. The publisher and version, we'll set that in, and we'll click next once that's done. Okay, so here I'm going to add the icon. I actually created an icon for it. so it shows up. I'll go ahead and point to that path. So I'll click on SCCM Office 2019.ico, and you can see that it is the Office logo. Okay, we'll click next there. And here we want to create a deployment type, so we'll click add. We'll select script installer, and then we'll click next. So here we're going to name it the same thing, Microsoft Office 2019 upgrade. Next again. For the content location, I'll go ahead and browse to my file server. So I'll click browse. We'll navigate to the UNC path of Office 2019. Okay. And we'll go ahead and leave it at the root directory of the 2019 folder. So I'll select folder. For the installation program, we're going to select the deployment application.exe, and that's located within my _SCCM install. This is just telling us that it's not signed. Okay. And we'll click next. For the detection, we'll go ahead and add a clause. And we'll select the registry. We'll go ahead and put in the H key local machine. For the key, we'll set it to software, Microsoft Office, click to run, configuration. And for the value, we'll set it to version to report. We'll go ahead and select the 32-bit version for 64-bit processes. And for the version, we'll set it to 16 and above, actually greater than or equal to. And then we'll set it to this version right here. And I'll go ahead and post all of this in the description as well. Okay, that looks good. We'll go ahead and click next here. All right, so here we're going to select it for the system since we only wanted to deploy it to computers. I'm going to set it to only when a user is logged on. That way they have the option to either defer or cancel the setting or continue it. And I'm going to let it interact with the installation program. Seems about the total time is about 45 minutes, so we'll set that. Once all that looks good, we'll go ahead and click next here. Okay. For the requirements, since Office 2019 is only installable on Windows 10 and Windows 2016, we'll set the requirements for that. And since this is actually 64-bit, we'll go ahead and eliminate 32-bit version. So we'll set the device as a category. The condition will be operating system, and we'll select Windows 10 64-bit. That way, if they accidentally deploy it to a 32-bit system, they won't get it. Or a Windows 7 system, they won't get it. All right. So that completed the deployment type. We'll click next there. We'll click next once again. And it should complete successfully, which it did. All right, so that looks good. We'll click next again once that finishes. And we'll go ahead and click next again. We'll finish out the next finish install. So once that completes successfully, we'll go ahead and close it. All right, so once that finishes, we're going to need to distribute the content to our distribution points. So I'll right click there, distribute content. And we'll click next to here. Next again. And I'll click on add. And since I only have one DP in my environment, I'll set the only one that I have. Okay, so I'll click on pack-SCCM01. We'll click on next. Next again. And if anything is wrong, it'll tell you there. But in our case, it was successful. So the next thing we're going to do is, actually, we have to wait. I actually waited like about a good 5 or 10 minutes before the content was distributed successfully. So once that is distributed successfully, we can see that it is green on the bottom there. And it is also referencing the deployment type for Microsoft 2019 upgrade. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we want to deploy the content to our collection that we created earlier. So I'll right click and select deploy. For the collection, we're going to select the Microsoft Office 2019 upgrade. And that is in my device collections group under software deployments. Okay. We'll click next Actually, this is just letting us know that we don't have any resources in our group yet, so we'll add that in just a second. Since it's already distributed, we don't have to worry about that. We can next through here. And I'm going to set the deployment to required. That way users get it forcefully, or they automatically get it. They don't have to click on it. All right, so we'll click next there. And for the time, I'll set it to as soon as possible. Okay, that looks good. So we'll click next here. All right, next up, we do want to set notifications for Software Center, so we'll leave that. I also want to make sure that box is checked to install outside of maintenance windows. And we can click next here. Next up, we're not really interested in alerts, so we can move on with that. And finally, do one more review of the deployment and make sure it completes successfully. That looked like it did just that, so we'll go ahead and close this window. And in all my years in SCCM, I've found it that it's pretty difficult to deploy an application if the computer is not in the group or in the collection. So we'll do that now. So I'll go ahead and right click, add resources, and we're going to go ahead and add our pack-win1001 or 01. Okay, we'll go ahead and add that and click OK. So now that our pack-win1001 is added to that group, it should be deployed to that machine. So here on our win1001 machine, we'll go ahead and go into the Office folder. And just to make sure we are running Office 2016, I'll open up Excel. We can click on the Open Other Workbooks account, and we should see right there that Office 2016 Professional Plus is installed. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is go back into the control panel, and we want to do a manual sync to speed up the deployment process, or the sync cycle process. So I'll go into Configuration Manager, Actions, and then we'll go ahead and run the machine policy retrieval. Okay, and the application deployment evaluation cycle. All right, so pretty soon we should see our notification for the install, and there it is. We'll go ahead and click on that, and it should open up Software Center. All right. All right, so now that Software Center is open, it'll take us to the installation status, and we can see here that it is currently downloading the package. And once the package is finished downloading, it should kick off the Powershell App Deployment Toolkit. And since we configured it to shut down all Office apps, including Excel and Skype for Business, it is now prompting me to either close programs, continue, and it'll close the programs, or I can defer it to another time. In my case, I'm going to choose close programs so I can close the programs for me, and then it should kick off the installation portion. And this is why Powershell App Deployment Toolkit is so awesome, because it gives you the flexibility to do all that. And here we can see the pop-up for installing Office 2019 Professional showing up. This is the show installation welcome portion of the script. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and open up our Windows Explorer, and we'll navigate to the CCM cache. And I just want to show you the portion where we set it to install from the CCM cache as opposed to the network. So right now it's currently running locally. So if I open up the config-x64.xml file, we can see here that it is in fact running from our CCM cache folder. Okay, if we ran it from the network and it didn't find that CCM cache folder, then it would run from the network. All right, and we also will go into our CCM folder and into the logs, and we will open up the app-enforce.log. This is the log that'll show us what's going on with the deployment, or with the progress. So for now, I will go ahead and speed this up because it takes about a good maybe 20 or 30 minutes, because it is on my example, it's uninstalling the previous Office versions. And we can see here, if I go into my control panel, you will no longer see Office 2016 Professional Plus. All right, so I will come back in a few once this is all done, and we'll carry on. All right, so our installation has completed, and now we see the installation restart prompt. Just to let you guys know, though, that it is kind of like a fake restart button, because it doesn't actually work, at least in my environment. So once we're done with that, we'll go ahead and move this out of the way, or actually we'll just minimize it because it's kind of in the way. So I'll minimize that. Okay, and if we click on the applications here on the top left, we can see that the Microsoft Office 2019 upgrade does show as installed. And if we click on the installation status, it will tell us the same thing. So that is installed. I guess we can now restart the computer. So if we open up that prompt and click on restart now, it'll actually restart. So we'll do that and come back in a second. All right, so the computer has finished restarting, and now if we go into our start menu and we open up, let's open up Excel again since we opened it up the last time. We can see that now it's running Excel 2019 or Office 2019. And if we click on workbooks account, just like we did the last time, we can see here that it is actually running Office Professional Plus 2019. And if you had put in a valid license file, that should have auto-activated it right there. All right. And just to let you guys know, I'll also leave the PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit, all of the scripts, everything I created for this video will be in the article that I showed you in the beginning of the video. Okay. So that about wraps it up for today's video. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments section. And if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Until next time, this is Paul with the sysadmin channel, signing out.